All right. So this one is something I was thinking about in because of Kobe Bryant's unfortunate death. So Kobe Bryant, for anyone who doesn't know, died in a helicopter accident.
Everybody knows, yeah.
Yep. Super sad. Same way my uncle passed away. It's very tragic. The one thing I thought was interesting that stood out to me, other than the terrible news coverage, which I don't want to talk about unless you want to talk about it, but the fact that so many people were crying because of it. I read Reddit NBA every day. I just love the NBA. And so many people who have never met Kobe Bryant, have no personal experience with him, were so devastated to the point of crying. And it's interesting because I suspect that for a lot of these people, if a neighbor had passed away in the exact same way, they would not have cried. Someone that they have met and shook hands with and they see, let's say, once a week for years, and they die in the exact same tragic way of a helicopter accident. I don't think that they would have cried, certainly not all of them. And it made me think of The Rock, because The Rock does a skit where he surprises people who aren't expecting him. And one of the people he surprises is a guy with the Rock tattoo. And the guy is an adult, 30-something years old, seems like a regular, masculine man. And he immediately starts to cry. He's so overwhelmed with emotions. And it made me think that, at least in the US, we have a bit of an odd culture where people feel raised by their celebrities. The celebrity goes beyond just a famous person who's good at basketball or good at wrestling to a person that is idolized, and then even beyond someone who's idolized, a parental figure almost, and all these people in the Reddit NBA were saying, I can't believe he's gone. I looked up to him so much. I learned so much from him. And it's just interesting because I feel like simultaneously we're losing community because, like I said, there would be you wouldn't necessarily cry if it were a neighbor. And I don't really have a takeaway, but that was just something I noticed that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, I know that you can't make this, but how close do you think Kobe Bryant is in the family unit? Well, it's tough to do. Take the average Kobe Bryant fan, and this is someone who likes basketball, who likes Kobe Bryant, not someone who's heard of Kobe Bryant. Where does he fit in the family unit, do you think? Do you think he's a cousin, a second uncle? Do you
father.
Think... this is not the average Kobe Bryant fan.
Oh, sorry.
That's the most diehard Kobe Bryant
sorry.
fan.
I thought you were saying what archetype do I think?
No.
How close do people
get
feel
that
to him?
He's the archetypal father in the sense that he plays this idealized role of what you want to be. I mean, like, oh man, my cousin died. I feel this affected by it. Or versus, oh, my dad died. I feel this affected by it. Or my second uncle.
I don't know, man. I think some of these guys. I mean, I guess maybe your cousin, but like, I think people have second cousins that die and they don't cry. Like that they're.
Well, these people might not be representative of every Kobe Bryant. Henry my brother liked Kobe Bryant. He didn't cry.
They're not. But I'm just saying, that's why I'm saying these people. Because some people will just cry, right? Mm-hmm. Some people that's their go-to thing. But I'm saying take the people who cried, not just Kobe Bryant fans. In this population, in this pie chart, not 100% of these people would cry if a neighbor died or if a non-nuclear family member were to die. That's all I'm saying. Like, they can be so upset about a celebrity death and less upset about the death of someone that they know. And certainly less upset than the death of a child that they don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a takeaway. This isn't to say anyone's good or bad. I just thought it was interesting that there are people who feel like they are raised by what they see on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I wonder if that is wrong of them.
I'm not saying it is. It's actually
No, I don't mean like morally wrong. Like, weren't they raised by Kobe Bryant in some significant way?
And maybe they aren't. I mean, the reason they wouldn't cry from the death of their neighbor is that they weren't close to their neighbor. That's kind of my point. Is I've talked about this before. It's very well accepted that community would make a human being happy. That a close-knit community is not necessary for happiness, but it contributes in a very positive way.
Yeah.
And I think we're losing that.
And there's no opportunity for Kobe to have an interaction.
Exactly. Yeah. You can love Kobe with your heart and cry when he dies. And I am not saying that that's bad. What I'm noticing is that he's not part of your community, though. He would not reach out to you. And so some people are going to comment and say, that's not true. I met him. Not everyone that was upset has him as part of their community.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I think is interesting. It just reminded me really of our lack of connection with our neighbors, or our lack of connection with all of our family.
If you had kids, how much TV do you think you'd let them watch? / screen time?
I never put any thought to it.
Yeah.
I have heard that if you ban, let's say a kid only gets 1 hour of television a day from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., that the whole day becomes an anticipation of that 7 to 8 p.m. So I don't think that's a good solution necessarily. And to our point we just talked about, you can't ban video games because they're a crucial part of learning, and they tell great stories and this and that. So I don't know. And I'm not saying this is bad. It makes me long for a community for myself and for other people. I think we always talk about this. Starvation is going down, wealth is going up. The amount of people that have high quality lives relative to the people 1,000 years ago is astronomical. And we have tons of depression and suicidal people and anxiety. And I guess I see that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I attribute that to loneliness to some degree and a lack of connection as well. So I don't know the answer. It just seems like everything is moving in the right direction socially except for that.
Do you think that it's possible to have an increased standard of living as measured by GDP and items without having an increase in depression and suicide?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I mean, at the size of a society.
You're saying you're saying an hypothesis would be, as food is more plentiful and people lose purpose in the sense that I'm not spending my day struggling to hunt,
they have
it creates
idle
time for me with which to be depressed. Maybe. I think a cure for it would be community, though. I think a cure. I think it's certainly seems like a hallmark of depression, maybe not anxiety, but of depression and suicidalness is feeling lonely and disconnected and unloved. And like, there's so many people in the world, and you look on Instagram and they're all so happy, but yet for you, your friend won't pick up your call or whatever it might be. And I wish that we had a more systemic way. I mean, so one of the things I'm going to start doing is focusing more on improving Charisma University, because I think it's awesome, but could be improved. And I think there's an opportunity there to connect people who are in the course together. I think we can use technology to connect more, and it's not currently being done excellently. And I think that's why people on so many forums are talking about how they're lonely and depressed. And
do you notice? I mean, I noticed this in myself. People don't seem to want. I know that they long for connection, but they don't seem to move towards it, to want it.
Yeah.
There's opportunities. Meetup.com has existed for God knows how long.
Yeah, there's
it
a
is
lot
not
of
as popular as YouTube.
There's a lot of inertia in loneliness. And what I mean by inertia is this idea that once something is not moving, it's hard to get it moving. And also when it's moving, it's hard to stop it. But that's less important for this. But yeah, I think when you're lonely, there is a lot of inertia to just stay alone, weirdly enough. I think this is true of depressed. I mean, I think any depressed person would vouch for this. You can have people giving you advice. You can know what might make you feel better, but you don't want to do it in the moment.
And let's hop into whatever you've got.
So currently it's illegal in 30 US states to not tell your partner if you're about to have sex with HIV, but organizations like the Ohio Health Modernization Movement are looking to change that. So the current prevalent thought is that when you have sexual conduct, there are two parties to that conduct, and the other person has a right to know and has a right to be informed to the decision to engage in the sexual conduct. However, medical advancements have helped turn HIV from a fatal infection into a manageable chronic condition. And the Center for Disease Control recently announced that if people take antiretroviral drugs as prescribed, the amount of HIV in their blood becomes so undetectable that they actually have very little risk of passing the virus to a partner through sex and can live just normal lives with like the expected longevity. So the organization says a lot has happened since 1999 and lawmakers don't necessarily know that. And let's be honest, a lot of citizens, who aren't lawmakers don't know the advances that have been made in science and the reasons that we believe, and those are the reasons that we believe this law should be modernized.
Meaning modernized would mean to make it not a criminal
so
act.
It's not a criminal offense to just not tell people that
I had a roller coaster ride on that story right there. At first I was like, you have to be kidding me. Like you're signing someone up. You're basically just putting a slow moving bullet in their head.
You're saying you think it's crazy that it's only 30 states that say that it's...
So my first reaction was HIV is you pulled the trigger and it's just moving slowly at me and it's going to get me or just destroy the quality of my life. And then as he was describing, we have these things, you can take a pill, it won't kill you. Then I go, okay, let's pretend that it never kills anyone. Now you have what you could describe as herpes. And there's no laws against that. There's no laws that say you have to disclose herpes. And this is one of the weirdest things that our laws don't have, but I understand why. You can lie with rare exception, and not disclose things with rare exception that are important to people, with the exception of fraud.
Just to be clear, I think some states do say that you have to say you have herpes.
Do you really?
I think so.
Interesting.
I think some states say that if you have an STD or an STI, you have to tell your partner.
So this is the thing. The lines drawn around STDs are so silly, because if you have a cold, that's an STD. If you don't think you can transmit a cold through sexual contact, you're insane.
Wait, so how did your roller coaster ride end before we get into
I don't
this?
know how it's ending. I'm trying to figure it out. So here's what it was. At first, I was staunchly like, only 30 states, it needs to be 50. You're killing people.
Yeah.
Then he goes and describes, okay, there's this thing that you can get now. Who knows access to it? Who knows how true? Let's just pretend for the sake of argument.
It's free if you go to the right company.
So let's just pretend for
This is the thing that I don't have HIV, but the same drug that you take that makes HIV basically a non-issue.
Yeah.
If you take it and you don't have HIV, it prevents HIV.
Yeah.
So I was kind of going through this phase where I was like,
PrEP, yeah.
I'm going to think about going to some sex parties and like doing some crazy orgy stuff. Like I'll go on PrEP and then I won't get HIV. And you can get it for free if you go through the right companies. But 1 in 1,000 people gets really itchy. And that's me. So I just skipped the orgies and stopped taking it.
So, great story, by the way. I remember that. You couldn't sleep for days.
Days, dude. It doesn't get out of your system. So it stays in your, like, it's not like you take it and so you take it and it's in your system for like 2 days. So it took me 3 days to realize that my horrible ability to not sleep because I was in physical pain was from the pills.
Yeah.
Then I stopped. You still don't get to sleep for 2 days. So it's just like,
Super fun.
oh, this is the best.
At least you don't have HIV, right?
Yeah.
No, but so then I go, okay, if it is just a pill and you're managing a virus that won't kill you, that is kind of what herpes is, right? It's a virus that will not kill you that you manage with retrovirals. And we don't have laws against that. So then maybe we should treat it similarly if
Well,
that is the case.
why not just have laws for all of it that say you just disclose all of it? Like,
What if you have a cold and I don't disclose that I have a cold?
I don't know. Maybe you got to disclose that too. But I think HIV can kill you. So let's start with just
What if
HIV.
you-
For a second, forget herpes. HIV can kill you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you
So can a cold.
Well, if you had let's say you knew you had something that was an insane flu, right? Like some sort of super bacteria
Just call it
thing.
the flu. The flu sucks.
We'll call it worse than the flu.
Okay.
I just want to say something
Pneumonia.
that can kill you. I think you should have to tell people that you have it.
What if you think your pneumonia is the flu?
Well, that's the thing. So if you have HIV, you know you have HIV. That's like one of the things.
We're assuming for the argument's sake.
You know you have it, right?
Yeah.
So if you knew you had something that was potentially deadly, I think you should disclose it, whether it's sexually transmitted or high five transmitted or whatever.
And I know that you mean this, but morally you should tell anybody when you have a cold or a herpes or an HIV, you should tell them morally. We're talking legally, right?
Yes, but I'm saying even legally, why not? Like, this person's argument seems a little silly to me because they're going, well, why should I have to tell people that I have HIV? It's a non-issue. It's like, okay, well, why don't you just tell them you have HIV, tell them you're on PrEP, and explain to them it's a non-issue? And maybe some people won't want to sleep with you.
Why should the government be involved in that?
Public safety, because it can kill you.
So the reason,
Because if you don't know that you have it, you can die.
Yeah. So you were going to say something?
the reason this article was specifically published was because of a story of a guy who he told his girlfriend that he had HIV, and then later on she took him to court and said that he didn't. So it's basically his word against hers, but because of the laws saying like you have to disclose it, they just ruled in favor of her.
Well, and they were unable to establish.
Right.
So this is the other thing, is that even leaving these ones, we don't know what happened out of it. The argument against having it be illegal is that, well, okay, if you want to say that this could kill you, under what? I mean, sex can kill you. You could have a heart attack. You know what I mean? Do I have to disclose that to you? Like,
Well, that's your own heart. And that's, I mean, the question is,
this person might not know that you're so good that they could have a heart attack.
I mean, who maybe you should legislate against is the food that led to that heart attack.
Sure.
Maybe
but
fast food should have the same warnings that cigarettes do.
You can make arguments for colds, for a fever, fever can kill you.
Well,
Colds can kill you.
I think I can actually, if we ask enough questions, get to a philosophically consistent rule.
Sure.
Because, for instance, I like that in California there are signs that say stuff can give you cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I go skateboard in our garage, and in the garage it says there are diesel fumes burned here, and it's an enclosed space. The fumes here can give you cancer. Don't spend a lot of time in here. Cool. I think that's a good sign. So to your heart attack point, I think certain food, I think soda should probably have some sort of warning on it that says this is pure sugar linked with diabetes and heart attacks. And so I think similarly, like if you have HIV, you should be like, my genitals have something that could kill you. And then if the reason that
what if you have a cold though? If you're saying if I have something that has a small chance of killing you, I must disclose it or face criminal charges. What if you have a cold?
I mean, I think you should tell people when you have a cold if you're going to kiss them.
I agree. No, so morally, we're all on the same page. Tell people if you think you're sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like legislating it.
I mean, a cold isn't so much of it can't kill you, right?
That's actually what kills you when you have HIV is the cold. It's not the HIV.
Yeah, but so what you're saying is you have to ask everyone what their immune strength is.
Yeah. No, and then should you have to tell them, okay, I had a cough. I coughed 3 times in the morning. I think I might have a cold. You know, turns out it's clearly difficult. And there was at one point where HIV was so far to the side where it was like so close to a death sentence in many years that it just went, okay, we're gonna do this one. But what they're saying is no, it's moving closer towards fever, or it's moving closer towards.
I guess the one thing I don't love about this is like this person is saying, I am going to make this decision for you because I'm going to say that I have this thing, but I'm on this pill. So it's pretty safe, which apparently it is. It's like, 1 in 1,000 people would get it. 999 people of 1,000 wouldn't. I'm going to make this decision for you because I think it's safe for you. And I just don't, I think, why not just tell them and let them decide if they're willing to take a 0.1% risk or not?
You and I actually might agree. I think where we're getting caught is moral versus legal. So I 100% agree with you. That's messed up to go, you know what? I'm going to be paternalistic here. I know how safe this is. Don't you worry about it. That's wrong. Should the government be involved and criminalize that behavior? And there's a lot of things that people can do that are wrong. People lie. People can lie pretty much with impunity in social circles.
Well, not if it hurts you, not if it causes like harm, right? If it costs you money, if they lie to steal from you.
Yes. Money. So money is a big one. But there's actually there's been weird cases where, here's an example. I say to you, I walk up to you in a New York City bar. I'm a strapping young gentleman. You're a young lady. I go, I just got promoted at Goldman today. It's pretty great there. We talk all night about my dreams for the future, that. I take you back to this nice swanky apartment. We sleep together, and you find out that's my uncle's apartment. I'm the delivery boy.
You're unemployed. You're unemployed.
And you would not have slept with me if not for that lie. As far as I understand, there's no criminal recourse to that. I don't think. I think you are allowed. I mean, here's another one. Oh yeah, babe, I definitely want a serious relationship. You gonna put every guy like that in jail? You know what I mean?
Sir, at the time. It depends what the definition of serious is, Your Honor.
No, people. If you tried to stop people from lying, you'd have to put everyone in jail. And so what we do is we enforce it morally, and we shame those people, and we say that's bad, and this guy's an awful person. But we go, the legal system must rest in this case.
Well, I do wonder if it's an extent of harm, right? And I get it, like obviously no one wants to be manipulated, but there are degrees of life impact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is exactly the point that they're making. There are degrees of life impact. It used to impact your life to this degree, and it has now fallen below the threshold upon which we need to criminally enforce it. Mm-hmm. And I think you would agree with me. It's what's relevant is, well, how much is it? Is it 0.00001% it gets transmitted? And if it gets transmitted, it's this, and then it goes, all right, because in that case, I got to tell everybody about every cough, everything, everything that I think, oh, by the way, here's my whole, medical history. And maybe one day I'll be able to show you my Apple thing. You could scan it against yours, and then we could have a nice algorithm that goes.
Flew 4 months ago, huh? Questionable.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, though, because you're putting yourself reasonably in the position of someone who has not been told that they've just slept with someone.
Weirdly enough, that's right where my mind goes in this scenario. I go, okay, I just had sex with someone, or I'm on a date with someone, and they have HIV. Do I think they should tell me?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's where my
course.
brain goes.
Of course. Of course. They definitely should. I agree with you.
Yeah, your point is that the law and the involvement of the U.S. government is not the same as the morality that we would want.
Yeah. No, people can lie, man. People, that's kind of, it's if you dig into it, it makes sense, the understanding of it and why the legal system stays out, but you really can lie about a lot of stuff. Now,
selfishly, I say get involved here, government.
Yeah. I guess what I felt was that it was a reasonable philosophical case that this person is putting forward.
No, I get it. I get the question. I mean, and separate from all this, like it is remarkable how far they've come with the fact that this medicine is, I don't know how it's free. It gets subsidized, I guess, from somewhere else, but there's this basically free medicine that just makes it so that they can't even detect HIV in your blood.
Insane,
like
man?
you have it, not only do you not have symptoms, the blood test can't find it.
So HIV/AIDS was the boogeyman when I was middle school, high school.
Only reason I didn't do intravenous drugs when I was a young child.
It was just
10,
like
11 years old.
It was like, look, you're not going to get cancer because you're too young,
Yeah.
which of course isn't necessarily true because those things happen. But like the one that can happen, you know what I mean? If you make the wrong decisions, is HIV.
Yeah, which is weird because I never knew anyone with HIV growing up, but I did know kids that got cancer.
Yep. Yeah, which is, I guess you can't really control cancer as much. It's
I think it's more just so you don't get like what you're told to be scared of and what you should be scared of don't line
the
up.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. But I agree. We got a lot of messages about how dangerous HIV
and now
was.
it's like, I don't know, it's you take a pill, which is great. Good job, science.
Yeah, it's crazy. They can't cure it, but they just make it go into hiding. Like
Which
when
is
you get mono. Like I got mono. I have mono. That's a virus. It lives inside me. But
Should you have to disclose?
it just kills. I would happily.
Yeah, you wouldn't care.
It's not contagious is the thing. Like you can't necessarily get mono from me because I'm not having a mono flare up. I think it's only contagious in the first time that you have it.
Got it.
Or if it did flare up when I got a concussion.
Yeah.
My body was terrifying because then I thought I had HIV because you get these like your tonsils just go all white, and I went insane Googling stuff and was like, oh no, WebMD says that it could. My doctor was like, dude, this is not what it looks like. I'm a doctor, I'm telling you. I was like, you have to test me.
You have to test me.
This poor guy, he begrudgingly did. But yeah, he's just like, I hate WebMD. But it did flare up. And then in that moment, it would have been contagious. And I do think I should have had to tell people if I was going to kiss you.
100%, man. That did not look fun.
Yeah.
I remember you spitting into a cup for weeks.
Yeah. And I would not be upset if there was a legislation that said that in that moment where I was contagious that I had to tell people I had mono. It's like, seems reasonable.
Yeah. I don't think you could have faked him out.
I literally had a cup. I couldn't swallow my own spit. No, I'm fine. You look really pretty tonight.
All right.
I'm not that charismatic.
What else do we have?